Americans are really stupid. Like, the number of Americans I've heard say that we don't need the rest of the world and we can do this without us, it really makes my brain hurt. The only reason that the US dollar is the world reserve currency is because other countries accept that as the world reserve currency. And ever since Donald Trump has been doing his insane chaos, the rest of the world is losing faith in the US dollar. They're losing faith and trust in the US system. If that happens, they will switch away from the dollar. If that happens, that's it. That's the end of the United States as anyone has ever known it. That is the end of the United States as a global superpower. After that, it will be either the European Union as the euro as the world reserve currency, or BRICS. Those are going to be the two choices. Or we're going to go to a system where there isn't a world reserve currency and it's just a bunch of countries trading currencies like we had before there was a world reserve currency. But none of these situations turn out well for Americans. It's probably better for the rest of the world, though, so here we go.
I was thinking about this. We are the richest country on the planet, one of the richest countries. Why does it look like ass? Like, really think about that for a second. Like, when you're driving, if you're not in, like, Florida or California or the coast of, like, Oregon or whatever, it's like, this place looks like shit. And we have so much money. Like, I'm thinking of, like, Europe and Japan and all of the architecture, like, across the world and how beautiful it looks. Why aren't we, like, why don't we have, like, rose gold fucking buildings and, like, why does the Kmart's and, like, all of the stores look like shit? Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm closing my eyes and I can imagine, like, what we could, what a country, like, look at China. Like, Shanghai, like, the coast, like, all those videos you see, that's, like, no joke, stunning, beautiful, high tech. You would think America would look like that with the amount of money that we have, but it just looks like, ugh, you know what I mean?
They don't really care who they're trying to deport or ask to leave the United States.
When Massachusetts resident Nicole Miteroni received this email on Friday telling her to leave the country, she was baffled.
At first I thought it was for a client, but I looked really closely and the only name on the email was mine. It said that my parole status had been terminated and I should leave the country within 7 days.
But the 40-year-old is a U.S. citizen.
I think it's most likely a mistake, and they're just casting a really wide net. But it's a little concerning that these are going out to U.S. citizens.
Miteroni is an immigration attorney working with many clients facing possible deportation issues, so her name and email are on a lot of paperwork. In a statement, a senior Department of Homeland Security official told us Customs and Border Protection is issuing notices terminating parole for individuals who do not have lawful status to remain. If a non-personal email, such as an American citizen contact, was provided by the alien, notices may have been sent to unintended recipients.
I think it's really scary that this is going on. It says that they're not being very careful. I think it's a scare tactic. I think they want people afraid of immigration.
I left the U.S. 8 months ago, and something that shocked me is that nobody likes America except for Americans. And even a lot of Americans don't like America. When I learned that people have no interest in visiting the U.S., I was shocked because I thought, isn't the U.S. one of the best countries in the world? But I think that's what they teach us in the U.S. People think Americans are loud, disrespectful, unruly, obnoxious, pretentious. One of my European friends said, you know, I typically refuse to hang out with Americans, but you're all right. When Americans come to Japan, they're usually shocked that Japanese people don't speak a lot of English at all. And they'll say, why don't they speak English? But you're coming to someone else's country where they speak their language. Why don't you learn their language if you want to visit their country? For some reason, we also have to measure everything differently. Feet, inches, miles, pounds, Fahrenheit. When everyone else in the world uses meters, kilos, and Celsius.
Question for people in other countries. Do you want to visit us anymore?
Hey, American here. So, born in LA, lived in New York, but I haven't lived in the US for about 15 years. I've lived in Shanghai, Seoul, and now I'm currently in Melbourne, Australia. Now, to answer your question, let's get rid of the obvious stuff like gun violence and lack of affordable health care and politicians on both sides that really don't care about the people they're supposed to serve. So these are my 3 reasons why I would not visit, let alone move back to the United States. Number 1, the fuck am I supposed to talk to anybody about? Americans are so myopic and in their own little bubble that it's hard to have a cosmopolitan conversation with most of them. And if I was to talk about America not being the center of the world, it would blow their minds and probably cause a fight. Number 2, the food. Every time I go back, I feel so bloated and gassy and sick. And that's because the food there is so processed and full of sugar and just terrible for you. Many countries around the world won't even allow American food to be imported because it is so bad. So why am I going to waste my time and my health dining out at a California pizza kitchen? And number 3, it's also vanilla, boring, and the same. With the exception of like San Francisco, New Orleans, and New York, it's pretty much any town USA. It's the same strip malls, the same fast food joints, and the same suburban households spread out as far as the eye can see. There's plenty of more interesting places around the world that I'd much rather visit that are more cosmopolitan, have better food, and I'm not going to get shot.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you're faring well where you are, and if you ain't faring well, please fare well where you are. I believe you've all heard of a man called Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin was a liar, but also he made some statements that somehow are tools for scientific research. But I basically think Charles Darwin was a liar. But again, he made some statements that are now becoming tools for research. What Charles Darwin did was this. Charles Darwin stated that organisms underwent 4 stages of evolution. We had natural selection, we had mutation, we had adaptation, and then we had isolation. And now he says that out of these 4, the main thing was the organisms that were able to adapt are those organisms that were able to thrive. The organisms that were unable to adapt are organisms that failed and died.
Black people, well, anybody can use the information coming from this video. Watch this.
A travel warning: if you're traveling in 2025 out of the US, you need to know 3 huge changes that are changing everything. It's a first, or you won't be able to go anywhere. Number 1, if you're trying to fly domestically in the US, your old driver's license isn't going to work after May 7th, 2025. You're going to need a real ID. You apply at your local DMV and get it done now before they get slammed. Number 2, if you're planning to travel from the US to the UK, which is Northern Ireland, England, Wales, Scotland, you're going to need for the first time a travel waiver. And that means you're going to have to apply. It's $13. It lasts for 2 years. But even if you're going for a day, you need to have the waiver. And there is another group of European countries, 30 of them, like France, Germany, Italy. They're requiring their own waiver. It's $7. It lasts 3 years. These are attached to your passport. Make sure your passport doesn't expire, because when your passport expires, these waivers expires and you have to start over.
Black people, get your affairs in order. Yes, a lot of us are holding other marginalized communities accountable for how they voted and for how they treat Black people in the Black community. While you're holding others accountable, make sure that your affairs are in order. Make sure that you have a certified copy of your birth certificate. If you have your original birth certificate, I know we don't like to walk around with our original documents. Make a copy of that birth certificate. Go to a notary public and have her certify/notarize that copy of your birth certificate. That makes that copy a certified copy of your birth certificate. When she's notarizing that copy, make sure she includes a statement that says, I'm a notary. And on all the documents, especially if they're copies of original documents, I include a statement that says, I, Tabitha, Notary Public, certify that this is a copy of the original document that is in the possession of whoever the birth certificate belongs to. If you are not carrying around your original Social Security card, do the same for your Social Security card. make a copy of it, take it to a notary, and have her certify that copy, notarize it. If you have a passport, you can use your passport in place of that birth certificate. Reason being, in order to get that passport, you have to provide a copy, a certified copy of your birth certificate. So you can use your passport in place of a birth certificate. If you are using a copy of your passport, have that copy certified. I've talked about this in a few other videos since the election, and I've had people getting down in my comments telling me that I'm overreacting. I'm not overreacting. I'm preparing Black people. Last year, I did a video talking about laws that were passed in Texas, in Georgia, and in Florida. That law was basically, the essence of that law is that police officers in those states can legally stop you under suspicion that you are an illegal immigrant. And in that instance, you want to make sure that you have proof that you are a citizen. So it is my suggestion, just like you carry your driver's license with you everywhere you go, you want to carry proof of citizenship now everywhere you go. And your proof of citizenship is a passport or birth certificate. That driver's license is not proof of citizenship. It is a valid government ID, a valid government picture ID, but it is not proof of citizenship. In her video, she talked about needing a real ID. Everybody nationwide, adults, will need to have a real ID. And the deadline is May 7th, I think she said. I didn't know what a real ID was, so I had to go out and look it up. So to get more information on a real ID, I suggest you go over to Google, put in your state and the term real ID, and your state's website for real ID requirements should come up. This is the Georgia Department of Driver Services, and they have information on what a real ID is and how to obtain it. Basically, a real ID is a driver's license that has a black star or a gold star, and it's in one of the corners of the driver's license, right? And it's for those of you in Georgia, it just confirms that this is a real ID, and it has all of these new mechanisms on the ID, barcodes, holographs, and things like that. So yeah, I looked at mine, and it has a gold star up in one of the corners. So make sure that your driver's license is considered a real ID. Listen, Black people, the government has been attacking us for decades, for centuries, for 400 years. And the way we have been able to maneuver and make it through all of these years is because of how we share and spread information. Okay? So currently, the Latino community is going through it. I just learned that Donald Trump does plan to reinstitute the Muslim ban, and there's additional information now included with that Muslim ban that's going to attack and harm the Arab community, the Muslim community here in the United States, right? And once they're all done, we're going to be watching to see what they're going to do with the 14th Amendment, which comes after us. So make sure while all of this is going on that you have your papers. Yes, we are back in that time period. Make sure you have your papers. especially if you are in the state of Texas, Florida, and Georgia, because of that law that they put in about a year ago, giving permission to police officers to be able to stop you under suspicion that you are an illegal immigrant. Share this video so the word gets out.
For example, we have the mammoth. The mammoth was a huge mammal, like an elephant, but it was very hairy. Today we don't have mammoths, but we have movies. For example, Ice Age. They try to recreate the image of a mammoth. We have movies like 10,000 BC. They try to recreate the image of the mammoth. We had animals such as the dinosaurs. Recently we've had people, the archaeologists have been extracting some bones, and these bones have been used to tell a story of the prehistoric times. So it tells you that these organisms like the mammoth and the dinosaurs were unable to adapt, and so they perished. And just as you know, I like using examples to make my statement reach home. The same way, a black American lady by the name Tabitha came up front and she tried to say that things are really changing quickly. You know, it doesn't have to be economical, it doesn't have to be political, it doesn't have to be a social, but whichever change it is, the same principles of Darwin adapt and then it take place. So adaptation is what needs to take, and organisms that are able to change and to adapt are those that are able to survive. The United States of America, as told by Tabitha, is quickly and rapidly changing, and she is advising that those people who are aware of this, those people who are going to get this message, should take heed and act responsively. You see, before we had COVID, we had people who were telling us about the measures, people who were telling us about the things to do and the things not to do. And now those people who followed the principles that were put in place by organizations such as the World Health Organization are people who are able to thrive. Now I'm looking back at it and I'm seeing, yes. This is the same step that Tabitha is telling us right now. I think that United States for a long time has shown signs of collapsing, and it doesn't have to collapse with you as a black American, it doesn't have to collapse with you as a white American, it doesn't have to collapse with you as any American. I don't want to be on color or whatever, you as anyone. So I want you to take this message home.
Americans are leaving America, and it is not for vacation. It's for survival. A growing wave of Americans are packing up, terrified by Trump's dictatorship, Republican fascism, and Democrats' capitulation. Interracial couples, LGBT plus individuals, people of color, and intelligent people in general are seeing their rights replaced with restrictions. In Ireland, U.S. passport applications hit their highest level in a decade, up 60% in just 2 months. France is seeing long-term stay visas for Americans up 20%. Portugal, Spain, UK, relocation companies can barely keep up with demand. Traffic to Blacksit Global, which helps Black Americans relocate, surged 50% after the election. Some are leaving quietly, like a trans couple in Colorado, because Trump wrongly says there are only 2 genders. States are moving to ban gender care, so they're planning their exit. Google searches for how to leave the U.S. spiked after the election, and real estate deals for Americans in Spain surged before the Golden Visa program was shut down. European culture is different than American culture, and many won't adjust. And of course, Europe has its issues. Immigrations, taxes. Putin expected to take Moldova and then Romania with his eyes on the rest of Europe for the new Russian Empire. But a possibility of another European war is a safer bet than staying in a country that is already a fascist dictatorship.
Americans are leaving the USA because they can't afford America anymore, making $100,000 a year, yet they feel suffocated financially because the price of things keep going up. They keep printing money and the wages ain't going up, all right? Matter of fact, there's job loss and there's cuts and all kinds of stuff going on. So once people leave that kind of environment and they go somewhere else and they realize life is supposed to be lived, it's supposed to be simple, it's supposed to be much more about enjoying your health and your family and your loved ones and your purpose and all of these things, rather than spending most of your life at work,
What kind of a freaking life is it if you don't do what you love? If you do what you love, cool, man, knock yourself out. I do what I love. Most people, 80-something%, don't do what they love. They don't like their job, and if they didn't have to work their job, they wouldn't work their job. So I know if you've watched this far, it's speaking to you. Maybe this is the sign you need to start doing some research to learn how to begin to devise your escape plan and live a better life. Because you know what? If what you're doing is not working, continuing to do the same thing, they call that insanity. You might want to book that flight. See you soon.
We're seriously thinking about leaving the United States, and I just want to hear from those who have done it. If you can please chime in and just share your story, share how you got started, any tips or recommendations that you could give to someone wanting to leave the United States and relocate abroad, I would greatly appreciate it. What do you recommend for homeschool families? We are digital nomads, so we can work from anywhere in the world. I also am interested in knowing your recommendations for Black American families. I'm very interested in Black expat communities, and preferably where English is spoken, but I'm very open to learning new languages and new culture, and we're just very open. We've done a lot of research already. We've considered places like Ghana, also Thailand, Costa Rica, and Portugal, but I'd really like to hear from some of you who have made the decision, you've taken the steps to leave the United States, and I just want to know, how's it going for you and what do you recommend? Let's be a resource for each other. And yes, I would be happy to help you in any way that I can, if there's a way that I can help you. But please, if I can just be a resource to someone and you can be a resource to me, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's help each other out.
If you're thinking about leaving the US, you won't have that option long. And you might be thinking to yourself, he's saying that because what? The Orange Goblin is going to prevent me from doing so? Indirectly, yeah. As the tariff war continues, inflation continues to increase, which means your spending power decreases. Maybe you're banking on your stocks. Well, it looks like we're in the midst of a recession, so those asset values might be going down. Remote work federally? Remote work or jobs, period, are in jeopardy. Because as corporations struggle to remain profitable as the cost of goods increases, they will always turn to layoffs as a way to keep their profits high. The point I'm trying to make is that there are subtle and not so subtle things that this presidency is really doing to keep a firm grasp on Americans, keeping them inside of this ever-going.
So, since there's so many of y'all on here talking about go back to Africa, you should go, blah, 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 I decided to ask ChatGPT, Chat, what would happen if all Black Americans left the U.S. and returned to Africa? And one thing ChatGPT do not do is lie, baby. So this is what ChatGPT said. This is food for thought for everybody who's saying go back to Africa. So first, Black Americans make up 14% of the U.S. population and contribute significantly to healthcare, education, sports, entertainment, government. And a sudden departure would create significant labor shortages. That's one. 2, Black Americans contribute over $1.7 trillion annually to the U.S. economy. A departure like that would create a sudden loss of economic power. 3, Black-owned businesses which employ millions of Americans would shut down or relocate, shifting the wealth to whatever country all of us went to. Number 4. Now this one gonna really piss you off. This one gonna piss you off. Loss of cultural influence. Black Americans, and I quote, Black Americans have shaped U.S. culture through jazz, hip-hop, and blues, fashion, language, and sports. Their departure would significantly alter America's cultural identity. Of course, we know that there will be a shift in elections, particularly for the Democratic Party. There won't be a need for NAACP and Black Lives Matter. But here's where it gets good again. A decline in innovation. Blacks foster creativity and innovation. The loss of racial diversity could slow technological advances. See, y'all ancestors ain't tell y'all how sick y'all was. See, y'all, before y'all found us, y'all was fighting each other. See, ain't nobody passed that information on to y'all. Y'all don't know about all that. See, our people passed information on. Y'all people didn't. Y'all wanted to be lost in translation, but we know. We know. We know.
White people.
Okay, white America. I come with a message from black America. We are leaving. We are leaving. You have won. We are leaving. All of us are leaving. All the colored people, all the brown people, we are leaving. You're going to get what you want. We are leaving. We are leaving, okay? You're going to get what you want. You say you all want us out of America. We are leaving. We are leaving. We promise. We have no problems leaving. As long as you leave Africa and you leave the Caribbean, don't take nothing. Just go. Just go. That's it. That's the arrangement. You leave Africa and you leave the Caribbean and don't come back. Don't take nothing. Walk out with your 2 hands empty. That's the arrangement. We will leave America, sure, to the blue eyes, to those that say they want to make America great again, to those that say black people need to leave, Spanish people need to go. We will leave as long as you leave Africa and the Caribbean. Tell me what you think. Do we have a deal? Let me know.
There's been a lot of talk lately from Black Americans about leaving the U.S. And as a Black American that has lived outside the U.S. for over 10 years now, I just want to say, welcome. I actually was wondering what took you guys so long to realize that, yeah, the world is huge, number one. Number two, you have a U.S. passport, which is one of the strongest passports on this planet, one of the strongest. And number three, you have skills that people will pay for all around the world. And so stop limiting yourself to one geographical location simply because you were born there. The world is huge.
So you, after listening to this advice from the Black American lady, tell me what you think about the situations happening in the USA right now, because it's rapidly changing, it's rapidly escalating, you know. The reason we get news all over the place about bad things happening, not so much good news we have outside there, you know. And here's where my advice comes also in. There's no an empire that forever thrives. There's always an end to any empire. Once you understand that an empire does not exist forever, you will have the knowledge of things change and we have to adapt to it. We've had the British Empire, the Spanish Empire, we've had the Mongol Empire, we've had the Turkish Empire, the Ottoman Empire, which is still the Turkish Empire. So many empires have come, the Egyptian Empire, but they all passed away. They all left a lesson that we can all learn. I'm always saying one thing: do not repeat history. Don't repeat it. No, learn from it. Even if it was good, learn from it. You see, even if it was good history, just learn from it. Do not repeat. Do not repeat. But again and again, nothing is new under the sun. In a way or the other, we will find ourselves repeating the history. But we should repeat it on the perspective of relearning and unlearning and learning. You understand? Now, Tabitha Speaks is a Black American lady. She does most of these videos encouraging Black people. She speaks on the niche about Black people and the matters affecting Black Americans. But to this specific video, you can see she's targeting a huge audience. She's saying to Black Americans and others. Others is just an infinite pool. And others who are willing to hear, and others who are willing to follow up with the advice, you know. Before an empire falls, there is always signs. American empire is falling. We've had signs, we've had professors, we've had so many people tell it. And by truth, by the things, by the trends that have been put in place by history, we see it's true and it's not a false thing. Yes. These EFK original documentaries, I hope that you get to learn from what Tabitha Speaks has shared with us. We get to understand the things she's trying to explain, and that's how we grow as Black people. And also, do remember to share your thoughts in the comment section. Your thoughts are very, very much good, you know. Your thoughts are thoughtful and acceptable. Yes. See you in the next video as we talk matters affecting Black people. These EFK original documentaries. Support me on Patreon. I'll surely appreciate for your kind support. See you in the next one.